everyone, and hello, precious people, wonderful people out there. Welcome back again to another episode of I Random Talks. So, the podcast where we engage in meaningful conversation about various random topics, and of course, with an excellent guest. So, here I am today, Ira, back again. I'm your host, and today I'm going to inform you guys we have a very, very special guest who is on mission to spread the message of self-love and try to inspire people to embrace their true potential on social media. And yeah, without any further, please welcome to the podcast, Nahdia. Hello, Nahdia.
Oh, wow. Hello, guys. Hello, random listeners.
How are you today, by the way?
I'm good. I'm being so great today. I'm really honored to be part of your podcast, our random talks. Yeah, I think it's really amazing.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to joining you to my podcast today, and we're going to talk a lot of things, especially about self-love and so on. So yeah, I'm so excited for that for now.
Yeah, sure.
All right. So before we get into our topic today, maybe it's great for you to introduce yourself briefly to all the listeners today.
Okay. Oh, well, hello, guys. My name is Nahdia Putri, but you can call me Nahdia or Nahdi. And currently, I'm a fresh graduate, actually. I'm majoring in biology. And currently, I'm just still looking for a job. And then, as what Ira said before, I also maybe a little have a little campaign in my social media about self-love kind of thing or self-awareness kind of thing.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing about Nahdia, guys. For information, she's also doing some sort of podcast and also YouTube, and I've seen what she put in on social media out there, so that was really amazing. Maybe could you please tell us a little bit about what you're doing recently on social media, what you're doing?
Oh, what I'm doing in my social media, actually I'm just sharing little bits of my thoughts, I guess, just try to spread the positivity, I guess. I create a podcast on Spotify. I also have my own YouTube channel, which is where I put maybe some kind of storytelling based on my life experience. Maybe that will beneficial for others people. That's what I did in my social media. Just try to giving some little insight that maybe helpful for others people out there.
Yeah, absolutely. It was very useful for other people. Even me, just recently after we met on that website. So I rather got trying to getting to know you by what you're doing, what you're putting out on social media, your blog. I've read your blog, and also I listened to your podcast, and I watched your video on YouTube, and that was very cool. And I mean, you being consistency doing that, and you try to spread all the love to people, and also try to give some motivation and about confidence, about self-awareness, about minimalism as well, right? So I think you're really passionate about minimalism, right? Am I right?
Yeah, I'm really maybe into minimalism since I know it 2 years ago. I think it's just helped me, to having a good lifestyle in my life. And then what I like about minimalism is because it's kind of related to zero waste kind of thing. And also now we're facing a crisis thing, climate change. So that's why I'm more into minimalism. I'm not I'm not that really expert on it. I'm still trying. I'm trying to applying that lifestyle on my life. So that's why I hope people more knowing about this lifestyle, because I think it's a good lifestyle for a human being.
Yeah, sure. That was a very good thing. Maybe next time we can discuss about it further more, right? How do you think?
Yeah, sure. I'm down. You're inviting me. Yeah, that's
Yeah, sure. I would love to do that. So, okay, Well, I think it's time for us to like get into our topic. We're going to dive into our topic today. So
Sure.
we'll be discussing about self-love and also how to overcoming insecurities. Maybe this is like one of the related topic that all of the listener today going to feel related with this topic today, because especially for young people, is this like they are vulnerable feeling this kind of like insecure when they
Yeah.
about to enter adult times, right? So how do you
Yeah.
think about self-love and insecurity, Nahdia?
What did I think about self-love and insecurity? I think it's a lack of causality and effect, I guess. Like, insecure is a manifestation because we have a low self-esteem, which is like it came from we're not love ourselves, or we're not having self-love. And for me, the definition of self-love is an action to knowing ourselves more deeper, I guess. That knowing what we want, knowing our weaknesses, like our capabilities, and we try to accepting that, like we try to deal with ourselves. And also I think we always eager, to change, to be better of ourselves, like to finding our best version of ourselves. And for insecurities itself, I think it's a state when we feel not confident, about ourselves. We feel not really secure enough about ourselves. I think that is my thoughts on self-love and insecurities.
All right, that was really a wonderful definition from you. And I think also self-love and insecurity are two related topics that often go hand in hand. So
Yeah.
it's going to relate the topic that impacts to our lives. So maybe like I really also want to hear from your personal experience about how you face. Have you ever felt you don't love yourself, maybe like feel insecure about yourself before, and how did you overcome those things?
I do. I mean, like, I ever feel that way, to not loving myself and feeling insecure about myself. And I think it's a normal thing. And I think everyone have through the same thing also. Like, sometimes we feel insecure, especially nowadays, like in this digital era. It's so easy to comparing ourselves like to others people, which can lead us to feel bad or feel not good enough about ourselves. And because what people put in social media is always a good side, right? Like, so sometimes we as a human, I think it's pretty normal if we feel not secure when we see people who above us in a certain things, maybe like physical things, like economy, lifestyle, and others. So yeah, me too. I mean, like, it doesn't mean I already love myself and I will never feel insecure anymore. I feel that way. I mean, like, I feel so insecure, especially when I'm feeling down, or maybe I have facing like a failure. So, like, feeling insecure, it's pretty normal, I guess. That we're not feeling good enough, or we're not feeling secure about ourselves. And how I overcome that, I think just try to putting a good mindset. I try to change my mindset about myself. I try to like knowing myself more deeper. That's how I overcome that feeling insecure.
Yeah, okay. That's absolutely amazing, and I totally agree what you just mentioned before about like we tend to compare ourselves with other people's lives on what we see on social media, right? Because it seems so perfect. Everybody has like really perfect life, when why I didn't have the same thing like they have, right? So we tend to compare ourselves. We don't even know what's behind the screen, because everybody just putting the good things on social media, because we never know, maybe they've been having like shitty day, but we don't know what's going on. They just don't want to show us, right? So
Yeah.
how do you think about this this thing that happened many of us? And yeah,
What did I think of it? I think that is the consequences of social media now. Like, social media, like, providing openness, like we can access a lot of information so easy, even also like people can sharing their own life like so easy, and it's really open. like everyone can say it. So for me, that is the consequences, like we're comparing ourselves to them. But one thing that I want to share, that we have to having our own control, I guess, because we have to know where is the time that we have to look on people's life, because sometimes it's kind of like not healthy for us. Like you said, we tend to comparing ourselves and we feel insecure about ourselves, and we're just focusing on our weaknesses, like our flaws. We're not really focusing on our potential, or maybe maximizing our potential, because we already like feel not good enough, like we feel not perfect, like as people that we see in social media. It's kind of bad things, I guess. It's kind of like ironic it's happened nowadays. But yeah, we can't how can I say, that is how it is nowadays, the social media thing. So we have to have a control in ourselves, I guess.
Yeah, I love that. The point, the last thing that you just mentioned before, it's about how we can control our mind, right? And we couldn't control people what they're going to put in on social media. We couldn't control that because that's their rights. That's their social media, and whatever they want to put on social media, it's up to them, right? So we couldn't control that. So it's actually their responsibility for yourself to take control of what you're gonna think about them and how you're gonna see them, right?
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
I'm totally agree with that.
Yeah, sure. So, as you know, it's not easy to overcome insecurities, and of course, it takes a lot of courage and self-awareness to embark on this journey. So, many of us, many people, have been struggling with insecurity, whether it's related to their appearance, abilities, or even their capabilities. So, how do you see about this thing that people have been faced? Maybe do you have any suggestion for those who still haven't faced this thing?
Yeah, maybe I can say through my journey. I'm actually I'm a person who not really confident back then. I feel so insecure about myself. I'm so afraid to do a lot of things because I'm not confident. I'm not trusting myself. Even just to go to supermarket, maybe Alphamart nowadays, it's made me feel so scared. I cannot do that. So for me, the journey to love myself, to gaining my confidence, it takes a long time. And for me, I start to going to having a confidence to love myself when I start to change my mindset, about myself. There's one quote that really opened my eyes back then. I found it when I'm junior high school. It said be yourself and love yourself. Because of that quote, I start to questioning myself, So maybe if you want to try to start to love ourselves, we have to questioning a lot about ourselves. Did I love myself? If I love myself, how can I know that I love myself? Something like that. Ever since that, ever since I start questioning a lot of things about myself, it makes me to knowing myself more deeper, to knowing who I am, what things that I like, my weaknesses, what is my potential and the others. And along the way, I start to grow self-awareness, I guess. I start to knowing myself more better. Whenever I feel not confident, I always try to remind myself that I have something, I have a capabilities to doing that. Sometimes we're feeling insecure, I guess, because we always have a picture that other people is a perfect people, they have a perfect life because what we see. But we never know, as you say, they're behind the screen or behind the scene. They also have flaws like us. They also did a mistake, facing a failure too. So it's totally normal, I guess. That's the thing I always doing. I always keep reminding myself that thing whenever I feel insecure. So I think people can do this also, like just to building self-awareness, to like more knowing ourselves more better. So we can, if we like start to knowing ourselves, I think we're gonna build that self-love within us, I guess.
All right, that was very powerful stuff that you just mentioned, that you just saying before. I love that. And I think this thing about confidence, how you're gaining confidence, you also already mentioned in your episode podcast, right? And I listened to that. You say that you even afraid go to the supermarket, and you just kind of isolate yourself in your home, and how you get overcome those things. So yeah, that was very amazing to hear that. And okay, so like there's like phenomena, I don't know, maybe this thing have been happen to you guys, maybe you have ever felt in this situation before, but there's like some people, some individuals continuously upload photo of themselves on the internet, let's say on Instagram or on Facebook, whatever the platform would be. In this case, they upload their photo continuously to express their love for themselves. However, these people are often mistakenly labeled as narcissistic because of their action, because of what they're putting on Instagram, because they show how they really love to themselves. But they got misunderstood by people saying, "Oh, why did you upload your photo on Instagram? Are you narcissistic? Like, are you trying to seeking attention from people?" So, okay, for me, like I think maybe everyone has their own ways to express their love to themselves. Maybe these people love to show themselves on Instagram, like upload their photo on Instagram to express themselves that they really love themselves. So I would like to ask you to your opinion, like, do you have any thoughts on this situation? Maybe what is the difference between narcissistic and also self-love?
I think it's totally different, about self-love and narcissistic, because self-love is a form action that we like doing something for the better for ourselves. But narcissistic is, I think, an action to showing off. It's not because of ourselves, but because of others people. Maybe like we do something, it's just for making get validation from others people. But self-love, I guess, we don't have to get validation from others people, because we already know it is just for us, because we love ourselves. So we doing that because ourselves, not for others people. So
Yeah.
If someone mocking you, that think that you're doing your self-love as a narcissistic kind of thing, I think it just don't really take out that, because you the one who know like you're doing this for yourself or for people. So it's totally different, I guess.
Yeah, I totally get what you just mentioned before as well, because I think it's, sometimes self-love is being misunderstood by people, right? When they're maybe like everybody like try to like love themselves with a different way. Maybe like for someone, like they want to like post maybe like their picture every single time to loving themselves on social media, and then that's why people label them as a narcissist person, and maybe just to get many validation, says people, "Oh, you're beautiful, you're handsome," and so on. But for me, like you just mentioned before, for those who love themselves, they don't need people validation to feel good about themselves, right? So they don't care about that. They just want to care about themselves and want to feel good about themselves. Then they don't care about people's validation. Maybe people would say, "Oh no, you're not beautiful. You're imperfection or whatever." But here's the thing, guys. You don't need to get people validation to say that you're beautiful, and then you say, "Oh yeah, I'm beautiful," because people say I'm beautiful. You don't need to get those validation. How do you think about this thing?
Yeah, true. I'm totally agree with that. Like if we have like self-love within us, I think we're not really think of what other people thought, or we're not really neglecting our validation to other people, because we already know ourselves, like we already know like what we want, what actually I am, kind of thing. So like the thoughts of other people is not really affecting a person who have like self-love, I guess, if they're already building self-love within them. They not really care about what others people, or they not really care about the validation from others people.
Okay, yes. Also there's people who easily speak negative things about themselves. So, like for example, if somebody would say horrible things about themselves, would say maybe like, hey, you're ugly, hey, you're dumb, hey, you're stupid, and then this person look at the mirror and then they would say, oh, yes, I'm ugly, yes, I'm dumb, yes, I'm stupid, like that. So for me, if you don't love yourself, so when someone else going to say horrible things about you, you always going to agree what they're talking about, what they're saying about yourself. So I was like, I don't want to believe these people, I don't want to agree with them on any level. I'm going to figure out who I am. I want to learn who I am, and I don't want to feel like I'm fragile every time I leave the house, because I'm so independent on what other people think about me. So I feel like I've arrived in a place where I have a tremendous amount of love and compassion for everyone else, and of course I have it for myself. So like about negative things, say something negative things about ourselves. Like, what do you think about this thing that happened to many of us? Maybe you have been ever in this situation before.
I think about negative thoughts, I think it's pretty normal, because we're human. Sometimes we're not always positive, There's a time that we feel down, we feel negative about ourselves, like we see negative things maybe about ourselves. And for me, I always, if it's happened, I always like try to questioning again, like what actually I feel, like why I have these kind of thoughts in me, and just try to like having conversation with myself. And then it's helped me, like whenever I having like conversation with myself, like I'm telling myself it's okay, that's not good, like the things, your negative thoughts is not right, kind of thing. And yourself, like you can do better, maybe you can change that, or maybe we can still have a change, like another change to be better. I always try to reminding myself that whenever like I have a negative thoughts on me.
Okay. So you basically talking to yourself and questioning about that, right?
Yeah, true.
What are those questions? What are the questions that you giving to yourself, that you ask to yourself?
I think it's depend on the situation, like maybe if I feel insecure about something, maybe like if I see my friends, they are like really successful, like getting a job, or maybe they're like accepting to higher education, kind of thing, and I feel like insecure, maybe like I feel like, why for me, like I still stuck at this time, I mean like this moment, I'm not seems like having a progress. I always try to question myself, like why I feel insecure about that. Is it there's something problem in me, that's why I feel like that? If it's like something there's a problem, like I will gonna try to maybe fix that, maybe to change my mindset, like, oh, we're just different, like your journey with your friend is different, and also like your struggles too, it's different. So you don't have to compare, because you already know, like you're putting, as long as you're like putting your best effort, kind of thing, so it's enough for you, something like that. It's depend on the situation, I guess. But because I like to journaling, I tend to like write it down and then just try to break down what happened, just try to like maybe looking for the solution, kind of thing. Or maybe if I not really seeing the solution, I will just like try to keep myself more calm by saying a good things about myself, you know, because negative thoughts is because we're really focused on the negative side. So I need to like maybe reminding myself about the positive, maybe the good things, kind of thing.
All right, I think that's actually one of the things that we can do to practice self-love on our daily basis by journaling, because because I'm actually not really that type of person who like to do some journaling or like diary, because I often felt like unmotivated like to do that kind of stuff, but I'll try to forcing myself at some point. So one time I wrote it down, my thoughts, my 16 years older myself, about my bad day. I think that was really, really my bad day that I've ever had in my whole life, my 16 years old myself. So I write it down on my Notion. So I still have that note, which is I'm telling myself like negative things about myself because I just got like mocking from my friends, and I would say this is like one of the things that makes me insecure first about myself, and I'm questioning a lot from what people perceive about myself. Is that true, what they're talking about me? And by seeing my from now on, when my 18 years old myself now seeing those notes, is just kind of like reflecting myself a lot, and I felt like it is actually really powerful to do some journaling, and then you look back at yourself maybe yesterday, 2 days ago. So it was really powerful, and that was really amazing.
Yeah, true. It's really helped me a lot. So
that's really powerful. Okay, so maybe like as we wrap up our conversation today for our podcast, maybe the last thing I would like to ask you, maybe like what advice would you give to our listener who probably still struggling with self-love and battling their insecurities, or maybe any final message you would like to share to our listeners today?
What did I want to share is just try to knowing yourself more better, I guess. And then just try to understanding yourself, because nowadays we're I think like our generation like confusing a lot, like they're not really knowing their self, because we don't like putting a time, you know, just to understanding ourselves, and it's a good thing. That's the way like you have to building self-awareness, so you can have like self-love in you. And I think like if you have a self-love, you can like building a confidence, you can trust yourself, like you trust your potential. If you like really trusting yourself, I think it's gonna be amazing, you know, like it'll be easy to do a lot of things because you already trust yourself. And a lot of people afraid to exploring a lot of things because they're scared, they're not brave enough, they don't have confidence. And I think it's bad, you know, especially when we're still young. Like we have a lot of times, a lot of changes. I think exploring a lot of things, it's a powerful tool, you know, to accelerate ourselves. And how can you do that? You have to be brave first. Like you have to be confident. You have to trust yourself. And if you like already love yourself like within you, I think it will be amazing, you know, like your life will much more easier, I guess.
Okay, all right, I think that's very wonderful closing for today's episode. So maybe once again I would like to say thank you very much, Nahdia, for sharing insightful and empowering thoughts on self-love and insecurities as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for having me. Like it's such an honor for me to be part of iRandom Talk. I'm really honored.
Sure. So maybe like last thing that I would like to share to all the listeners today is that you guys, if you're still questioning a lot of things about other people think about you, other people perceive about yourself, and you still maybe like not loving yourself once, I would like to say that you guys need to remember that self-love is a transformative and ongoing process. So it maybe take a long time, but you need to be passionate for that. But the first thing first thing that you need to take a first step, embarrass yourself, and maybe like to try to talk positive thing about yourself, not only talking about negative things about yourself. There's so many things that you can be grateful for what you have right now that God has been given to you. So don't only focus on negative side or maybe your weakness, because everybody, I think honestly, nobody would be perfect, right? They all have a weakness, they all have a flaws. So we accept that fact. We all imperfection. I mean, we still have those things that we need to be maybe we need to be fixed. But if you guys can fix it, I mean, you need to like try to embrace those things that you couldn't fix it. So try to surround yourself with the positively. Maybe try to seek supportive people when you need it, and remember that you're worth it of love and acceptances. So that's all for today's episode, and for all of you guys, thank you so much for joining, for listening to this podcast until the end. I hope you guys all have an amazing day. So stay curious and keep spreading kindness, and see you later in another episode. Thank you, Nahdia.
Thank you so much.